Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are jumping into something pretty exciting for CPG brands, consumer packaged goods, that is. We're looking at unlocking some serious revenue growth, but here's the twist. We're doing it without touching R&D. No new formulas, no massive innovation sprints.
That's right.
Our mission today, we're going to dig into the data you already have, all that consumer feedback, the complaints, the reviews, and pull out 5, let's call them hidden signals,
Whoa.
signals that can turn everyday customer friction into, well, immediate profit drivers, and often with really simple operational tweaks.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, fascinating actually, is that the solutions consumers need, they've already told you, it's all there in their own words. It's sitting in product reviews, it's in customer service emails, return notes, chat logs, you name it. The key is just having the systematic analysis needed to actually find these patterns.
Okay, so the answers are already documented.
Pretty much. But most brands are, frankly, sitting on this huge blind spot. We could maybe call it the $847 million blind spot, just to put a number on the scale of the potential here.
Right.
They pour money into traditional market research, right? Focus groups, big surveys, which have their place, sure. But meanwhile, you've got these like mountains of super specific, actionable insights just gathering dust in databases, unused.
That seems incredibly inefficient. So if they do start leveraging this data they already own, what's the payoff? What are we talking about in terms of actual results?
Oh, the ROI potential is huge.
Yeah.
And it's because the fixes are often operational, not about reformulating the product itself. We've seen data, Bain & Company, I think, is suggesting CPG brands can boost sales growth by maybe 3 to 5 percentage points.
Okay.
And gross margin by 200 to 300 basis points, just by getting more granular and data-driven with their, revenue management.
So it's not about finding a blockbuster new product necessarily.
Not always, no. It's often about tightening up the execution for the products you already have on the shelf.
Right. So the insight is that margins aren't always leaking because the product's bad, but maybe because of confusion or friction points the customer hits.
Precisely. Preventable friction. And think about this. There's a McKinsey study that found just a tiny 1% improvement in price realization.
Which could come from fixing those friction points, right? Fewer markdowns,
Yeah, exactly. That 1% improvement can lead to an almost 9% jump in operating profits, like 8.7%.
Wow.
And we also see that even a 1% lift in customer satisfaction, that can translate to around a 3.3% increase in revenue growth. These aren't fuzzy numbers. They're achievable by analyzing the feedback you've already got.
And the power here, I guess, is that this feedback, the reviews, the service logs, it captures the real world, right? The messy reality of how people actually use products.
Totally.
Something you'd never get from a perfect lab test or, a polite focus group. We're seeing campaigns that really tap into this existing consumer language, and they're getting like 28% increases in sales, 38% more new buyers. It's significant.
It really is. Which is why we need to dive into these signals.
So, yeah, what's the first one?
All right, signal number 1. We call it the how to use gap, and it's often hidden right there in your return data.
Okay, so a product comes back and the system just tags it, product dissatisfaction maybe, and that's it.
Often, yeah. The investigation just stops there.
Yeah.
But if, like some sources suggest, maybe 60% or even more of those complaints are really about instructions, it makes you wonder.
Yeah, why are brands still jumping straight to expensive R&D? Is it just easier? Or do they not believe the customer feedback?
I think it's more about being reactive versus analytical. When you systematically analyze this stuff, you find that instruction gaps, they drive somewhere between, let's say, 60 and 70% of what gets labeled as a performance issue.
60 to 70%.
Yeah, and Deloitte's research backs this up too. They found that modern revenue growth management, RGM, that holistic profit approach, when it uses consumer feedback analytics properly, you can see maybe a 3 to 5% annual lift in gross profit.
Just from clarifying things.
Often, yes. It's about solving confusion, not necessarily changing the chemical formula.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure. We looked at this personal care brand. They had high return rates, and the immediate assumption was, okay, our product isn't competing well. Standard thinking.
Right.
But when they actually dug into the language in the negative reviews, the service chats, people weren't saying this lotion is bad. They were saying things like, instructions unclear, or I gave up after trying different ways. And specifically, a lot of them just could not figure out how the pump dispenser worked.
Wait, seriously, so the product inside was fine, but they couldn't get it out easily.
Exactly.
That's not an R&D problem at all. That's basic design communication.
Precisely. And the fix.
Yep.
Zero R&D needed. They just added clearer instructions on the packaging, put a simple how-to image on the online product page, maybe a quick 30-second video.
And that worked?
Yeah, brands that tackle this. They see satisfaction scores improve, retention go up, often within just 30 to 60 days. It's a quick win.
Okay, so fixing instructions helps with internal confusion. What about external factors, things the brand can't control, like the weather? Does that show up?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That brings us nicely to signal number 2, seasonal language patterns in your communications.
Okay, so this isn't about the product itself changing, but how the environment affects it.
Exactly. And this is critical because it points towards operational solutions, not necessarily product ones. We know AI and analytics are huge in retail now, right? Like 69% of retailers say AI boosted their revenue. 72% saw lower operating costs. Well, applying that kind of analytical power to customer feedback, it shows these seasonal complaint patterns. And fixing those issues often costs like 90% less than a full reformulation.
Okay, makes sense. Tell me about that cleaning brand example. What pattern did they miss?
Right, so this cleaning brand saw sales dip pretty reliably every summer. The first thought, competitor pressure.
Standard response.
Yeah. But the deep dive into the feedback told a different story. It was storage issues. People were leaving comments like, this key's melting in my car trunk, or works great in winter, but it gets weird and changes in the summer.
So the heat was actually changing the product's consistency, making it harder to use.
Subtly, yeah. Enough to cause friction, even though the core formula was totally fine under normal conditions.
So they weren't fighting another brand, they were basically fighting thermodynamics.
Yeah, you could put it that way. It's a completely different strategic problem than they thought.
And the fix?
Super simple. Add some storage guidance to the packaging. Maybe send out proactive emails with seasonal usage tips before summer hits. That basically solved it. Revenue stabilized, and they avoided a potentially long and costly reformulation project trying to make it heat-proof.
Okay, that's fascinating. So we've covered instructions and environment. What about the message itself, like the marketing?
Good transition. That takes us to signal number 3, the language gap between marketing and reality.
Okay.
We know personalized marketing is powerful, right? Like some studies say it generates maybe 8 times the ROI of generic campaigns. But the question is, are you personalizing based on what you think is important or what your consumers actually value about the product? Is your message aligned with their reality?
Right. And this is where we stop just looking at complaints and start analyzing the positive feedback too, the 5-star reviews.
Exactly. You look for the disconnect. Take the skincare brand case study. Their marketing was all about luxury, status, premium feel. Very high-end positioning.
Okay, typical for skincare sometimes.
Right. But when the analytics team filtered specifically for those glowing 5-star reviews, the language happy customers were using, it was consistently functional, practical.
How so?
They weren't saying, this makes me feel luxurious. They were saying things like, finally something that works with my sensitive skin, or this doesn't irritate me like other brands do. They valued the effectiveness, the gentleness. That's what kept them coming back, not necessarily the premium vibe the brand was pushing so hard.
So the marketing was actually kind of missing the mark on what truly resonated.
Yeah, that disconnect was arguably hindering sales. So what they did was adjust the product descriptions, the ad copy, to reflect the functional language consumers themselves were using.
Well, language from the positive reviews.
Exactly. They basically got their best conversion copy for free, straight from their happy customers.
Yeah.
And the impact? Conversion rates improved significantly, somewhere between 10 and 25% lift.
Wow, just by changing the words to match what customers already loved?
Pretty much.
Okay, that leads perfectly into the next signal then. Signal number 4, hidden use cases in success stories. This sounds like consumers finding new jobs for the product.
Precisely. This is where your customers essentially become your unpaid market research department. They discover new, sometimes surprisingly profitable market segments or applications for your product that maybe you never even considered.
And that gives you a competitive edge if you spot it.
Huge edge. You know, research firms like Oliver Wyman always stress analyzing omnichannel data, right? Seeing how things perform across different contexts. If you're only looking at sales data for your intended use case, you could totally miss these surprising successes happening elsewhere.
So back to that cleaning brand, the one fighting thermodynamics earlier. Did they find hidden uses too?
They did. Same brand, different analysis. This time, looking through reviews, they found consistent, really specific mentions of success with stuff like tough pet stains, getting crayon marks off walls.
Things not on the label.
Exactly. Even automotive cleaning. People saying things like, Worked amazing on that mystery stain on the carpet from the dog, or got crayon off the paint better than anything else I tried. Even surprisingly good for cleaning grime off my car wheels.
Yeah.
None of that was in their official marketing.
So what did they do?
They started incorporating these consumer-proven applications into their marketing. Maybe not changing the main positioning, but adding sections like "also great for."
And the impact?
It expanded their addressable market by, estimates were, 20 to 40%, without changing the product formula one bit.
Just by listening to how people were already successfully using it?
Yep. This signal pops up when consumers rave about unexpected wins. It hands you new positioning opportunities on a silver platter, ones your original strategy might have completely overlooked.
Okay, incredible. 4 signals down. What's the final one? This one sounds a bit ominous. The packaging friction hidden in complaints.
Yeah, this one's subtle but powerful. Context here is that packaging issues friction in just using the package might drive something like 40 to 50% of premature product abandonment.
40 to 50%. That's huge.
It is. But here's the catch. Consumers rarely report it directly as the packaging is bad. It's hidden.
How so?
Well, the signal works by tracing complaints that sound like they need R&D like taste or texture or effectiveness back to a root cause that's actually about the packaging or the immediate usage experience.
Okay, so it masks the real problem.
Exactly. Let's use the vitamin company example. They were getting a lot of complaints about bad taste and the vitamins being hard to take.
Right. Sounds like a formula problem. Time to call the food scientists.
That was the immediate reaction. Executives were gearing up for an expensive reformulation project to improve the taste profile.
But wait, let me guess. The systematic analysis showed something else.
Bingo. It revealed that the real issue was that consumers found the capsules physically too large to swallow comfortably. Purely a physical friction point related to the packaging form factor.
Okay, so how did that connect to the taste complaints?
Because they couldn't swallow them easily, what were consumers doing? They were breaking the capsules open, dumping the powder into water or yogurt or whatever.
And that's what tasted bad.
Precisely. The problem wasn't the inherent flavor of the vitamin formula when taken as intended inside the capsule. The problem was the action users took because of the capsule size friction. That action created the secondary taste complaint.
Unbelievable. So the expensive reformulation was completely unnecessary.
Completely. The fix required zero changes to the vitamin itself.
What did they do instead?
Simple stuff. Clearer instructions about swallowing the capsule whole, maybe some tips like taking it with more water or a bite of food, and crucially, some reassurance about the capsule size being safe and standard.
And that resolved the taste issue.
Largely, yes. Satisfaction went up, retention improved, and they saved themselves a massive R&D headache and expense.
Wow. Okay, so when we pull all 5 of these signals together, the instruction gaps, the seasonal effects, the marketing language mismatch, the hidden uses, and this hidden packaging friction, what's the big takeaway?
The big takeaway is the competitive advantage you gain from systematic analysis. Most CPG brands, honestly, they treat consumer feedback reactively. They solve the one complaint in front of them.
Putting out fires, basically.
Exactly. But the strategic brands, the ones who win, they analyze these signals systematically, looking for the patterns across all the feedback. And by doing that, they tap into something incredibly valuable. Real-world usage scenarios, authentic consumer language. The kind of stuff that traditional focus groups or high-level surveys, they just completely miss it.
Right, because it's unfiltered and grounded in actual experience.
Totally. And this systematic approach, it creates real measurable business impact, often, as we've seen, without needing massive R&D investment.
So the solutions are already there, documented daily by your own customers. You just need the right lens, the right system to find them.
That's the core message. The systems and analytical approaches we've talked about make that possible.
Okay, fantastic stuff.
So maybe we leave you, the listener, with this final thought to chew on. If maybe 40 or 50% of product abandonment comes from packaging friction, and maybe 60 or 70% of those performance complaints are actually about unclear instructions, then how many of those big, expensive, high-level strategic problems that keep executives up at night, how many might actually have a simple, low-cost operational fix hidden in the feedback you already own?
That's a powerful question.
That's the real power of listening systematically. It's waiting to be unlocked.